Hey everyone, welcome to another English grammar lesson. Today we're going to be covering some pretty tricky pronouns. So what exactly is a pronoun? Well, a pronoun is one of the 8 parts of speech, and it's a word that takes the place of a noun. Like instead of saying Tom put on Tom's shoes and then Tom went downstairs, we could say Tom put on his shoes and then he went downstairs. The words his and he take the place of Tom so that we don't have to say his name 1,000 times. Common pronouns include words like I, me, myself, he, she, him, her, they, them, we, and it. Of course, there are others, but these are just some of the most common ones. So when it comes to using the right pronouns in a sentence, I found that a lot of people actually don't have a clue what they're doing. For example, let's take a look at this sentence. If you have any questions, please call Joe or I, Joe or me, or Joe or myself. Now, which one of these pronouns do you think is correct? Most people that I've met would say myself, because they think it sounds like polite or professional or something. If you have any questions, please call Joe or myself. Unfortunately, this is wrong. A lot of other people I know would say I, for more or less the same reason. It sounds right. Please call Joe or I. But as it turns out, that's also wrong. Think about it like this. If you take Joe out of that sentence, what would be the correct way to say this? If you have any questions, please call me. Obviously, no one would say please call I, and no one would say please call myself. So the trick in these types of sentences is to take out the other people in the sentence and see what would make sense with just that pronoun by itself. Let's keep that in mind as we look at this sentence. Katie and I are dating, Katie and me are dating, or Katie and myself are dating. All right, so let's start by taking the other person out of the sentence. Obviously, you'd have to remove the and too, because there are no longer multiple people. And because of that, because we now only have one person, the word are would have to change to am. Anyway, would that make sense? Me am dating? Myself am dating? No, I am dating. So altogether, it would be Katie and I are dating. Next one. Ken never passes the ball to Mason or I. Ken never passes the ball to Mason or me. Or Ken never passes the ball to Mason or myself. Now, don't just jump to what you think sounds good, because what sounds good to most people is wrong. Take Mason out of the sentence, and obviously the word or goes with him. Ken never passes the ball to me. Ken never passes the ball to Mason. Ken never passes the ball to me. So together, Ken never passes the ball to Mason or me. Next one, and since there are so many options of pronouns here, I'm not going to read it. Anyway, we've got 2 little problems here to figure out. So let's just do one at a time. If we take out this second part, so we're just looking at the first part, we'd say he is good at volleyball, right? And that's the correct choice. And if we took out this part, so we're now just looking at the second part, we would say she is good at volleyball. And that's also correct. So believe it or not, the correct version of this sentence is he and she are good at volleyball. He is good, she is good, so together, he and she are good. And again, I do not care what you think sounds good, because what you think, no offense, is probably wrong. Let's do a couple more just to make sure we've got it. So look at the first part of this sentence. What would you say? She plays the piano, right? And now look at the second part. What would you say here? I play the piano. So together, this sentence should say, she and I both play the piano. And this rule applies to even the weirdest sounding sentences, like this one. First part, we are going to the park, right? That's what makes sense. And the second part, they are going to the park. That's what also makes sense. So yes indeed, this sentence should say, we and they are going to the park. I'll let you get your head around that for a second. Now, how often are you going to see sentences like this? Probably not that often. But the I, me, myself situation comes up all the time. Jeff and me are going skating? No, Jeff and I are going skating. You can turn that into Mr. Jones or myself? No, you can turn that into Mr. Jones or me. Dinner was prepared for Jane and I? No, dinner was prepared for Jane and me. Take the other people out. Isolate one part of the sentence at a time, and I promise this will become so incredibly easy. And you'll actually be writing and speaking correctly. And by the way, if you're looking for the grammatical reason for why all this stuff is correct, you should do a little research on the idea of subject and object pronouns. But I just like to try and simplify it and say, hey, just take the other people out of the sentence and see what would make sense. Cool. Well, whether you came here for a refresher or just now learning this stuff for the first time, I hope this video helped. Be sure to check out the free practice down in the description, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.